Look out for bats that can get tangled in your hair.
Why not? You're blind.
Any of you like to sit outside late in the day right now? Have you noticed something high in the sky? Looks like a bat, but it's way too big for a bat. Irregular wing beats. It just glides and glides. It'll change directions quickly. Any of you notice those things? Mm-hmm. Growing up, what did we call those, Paul? Maybe I'm out of the culture, but a lot of people call those bull bats. No, they're not bats at all. They're the common nighthawk, akin to the whippoorwill. You'll see them at dusk right now for another week or two. The only time of year you'll see them doing that is late summer or early fall. See if you see one tonight. They're interesting species. During the day, you'll never see them. They're camouflaged. They rest on the ground or on a rock, and they're so well camouflaged. Diminutive eyes, very, very small eyes. They kind of like a bat in that they're insect, mosquito eaters, that kind of thing. But they're a lot larger than most bats, and they don't fly anything like a bat either. Bats are mammals. These things are birds. You know, bats are, who emailed me a photo of a bat the other day? David Shoemaker still here?
He's back there.
It's either David or Mike and Mo Fuller one. They'd found one under their umbrella or something. Was that Mike and Mo? Yeah, bats are mammals. Now, I don't particularly like bats. Disease carrying is the reason I don't like them. Other than that, I don't have a big problem with them. Some of them look pretty mean. They've got teeth, kind of like some of the canines, but see if you see that common nighthawk. Have any ever been hiking and seen the woodcock in these woods? Especially around little water ponds and little wetland areas in the woods. They fly up right in your face, scare you to death, and then they fall just like that. They really do. They fall just like that, and you say, what in the world did I just see? Chances are nearly 100% it's that woodcock. They look like a snipe. Yeah, snipe do live in the southeast. You've heard the old stories about snipe hunters and all that, but snipe and woodcock are very close kin. But there are some woodcock in here. It's kind of like the yellow-billed cuckoo. Mexican lunch for anybody can photograph one of these things. Downtown, for me. I still have not, now for those of you who don't know what I'm talking about, there's a bird in these woods called the yellow-billed cuckoo. And the old, a lot of people call it the rain crow. If you hear it, 24 hours later, that's kind of one of the myths of nature. They've got a curved bill, insect eaters. The underside of their tail is banded white and black horizontally. They live in the canopy. I have heard them numerous times this summer, but I haven't seen one. I've never seen one up here. So there's one of your challenges. Photograph that yellow-billed cuckoo.
What do they sound like?
Well, I'm not much a singer, as I found out years ago, Ricky. It's a descending cluck. Cluck, 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 cluck. Gets lower with each rendition. It gets lower and lower in pitch. But there'll be about 10 or 12 items in the call. Cluck, 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 cluck. And they'll always be in the canopy. That's why you can't ever see the darn thing. Yellow-billed cuckoo. Look him up. It's not an unpleasant bird to look at. They won't be on your feeders now because they're not, that's not their food. But if you, and they're migratory too, so we probably won't get much more of a chance. Tom, so be on your toes up there behind your house. Maybe you see one of them.
Mark, could we go back to the bat issue? A lot of times we're sitting on our back porch and we see what we think are bats. It's dusk, you know, just soon after the sun goes down. And you won't see them flying in a cluster. You'll see maybe one here, and there might be one over here. And they look like they might be that big around. Now, is that a bat? Or is it what you were talking about, the hawk? No,
nighthawks won't get down that low on the ground. Sometimes they'll get around a street light for the insects, but most time they're going to be 200, 300, 400 feet up.
Oh, okay.
Now you're seeing bats. We got a little brown bat. Yeah, you're seeing bat. The little brown bat's the most common here. They just dart and go everywhere.
We never see them together. There's always like they're spaced apart.
Yeah.
And maybe that's because they're giving everyone else a shot at the mosquitoes or something.
They feed by echolocation. They emit squeaks that echo off. It's hard to believe that they can echo sound traveling at the speed of sound, an echo on a mosquito or a small insect flying, but that's exactly how they locate prey. Okay, birds are monogamous and pair for life. Anybody want to touch that one? The things in the wild I know that pair for life, believe it or not, are some of the most vicious of all the mammals. Wolves, Canada geese. Yeah, some of the bigger, let's see, coyotes usually do. I'm not, maybe, I'm not, have you read that, Lenny? Red-tailed hawk. Most birds, now I got a lot of this from the birds off the National Wildlife Federation website. It says 98% of them cheat on their mates. That's not unusual. That's not unusual. They don't fall in love like you have. Anyway, so it's not like there's a big betrayal going on there. But it said in a study done at so-and-so university and so-and-so in the Northeast that over 50% of the young studied had contributions from multiple fathers, put it that way. So, not totally false, but generally false. So that's what that was all about. Oh yeah, the barn swallows, I already touched on that, number 9. Now number 8 is kind of a loaded little sentence or two there. You know, get into this global warming thing, as you might guess, that if you're a nature lover and you really study this kind of thing or contemplate it, if that's true, if you've noticed our summers have been warmer and the winters have been colder the last 3 years. I don't know if that's a cycle or if it's just consequence, I don't really know. But as you could tell from the wild animal standpoint, if indeed the seasons are changing, then the period in which birds will start to build their nests, lay their eggs. In other words, birds, through generations of adaptation, the young are born when the food materials are most common, if you think about it. Now, global warming can change all that. And even when they migrate, you know, in other words, their systems may be getting messed up too. Something to think about. Now again, that goes off in some in-depth studies that you can go in a lot of different directions on. But nearly everything follows. Survival, number 1 in all wild animals. When I talk to environmental sciences, I try to make it simple in this regard. The very first obligation these things have is to survive. Obtain nutrition, reproduce. Survive, obtain nutrition, reproduce. If the first 2 don't happen, the third one's impossible. So that's why they're kind of in that sequence. Survival, you know, we've talked about tree survival already a little bit today. The predator-prey relationship, as gruesome as it may be, it's just part of the ecosystem, isn't it? Like that black rat snake. That thing may go 4 months without any food this winter. You know, chances are he just eats a mouse or a young rat or whatever he can catch, maybe once every 2 or 3 weeks. If he can do that, he'll make it. But a lot of those things, the young ones especially, a lot of them don't make it through the winter for that very reason. They may not have enough organic potential in their digestive tract to get them through the winter. But there are a lot of these things we're talking about surviving the winter. A lot of times their heart rate will go down to 2 or 3 beats a minute through the winter. You know, whereas ours is around 70, give or take, depending. You know, it'll go down to almost nothing. And truly, in the night right now, if that black rat snake was laying in the sun, I guess when you guys first saw it, if it's down in the 40s, they probably don't have enough energy to bite you if they wanted to. And when it gets any cooler than that, they're finished. So another couple of weeks, and you won't see. If you see one, you're probably okay. It'd be a good time to try to get to know one. Okay. Any questions, comments about any of these, or anything else for that matter?
Has this cold weather snap put the hurt on the ticks and the chiggers?
I hadn't seen one about a month now, really. Yeah, they've about had it. Back in August, I had a couple of issues. I didn't see hardly any ticks this summer, but I did get into the chiggers a couple times. Yeah, they're same thing. They're gone. Most of them will die in the winter. I'll tell you what, I hadn't seen any of. Remember last year, a couple of you asked me about this, and I got stung a couple of times with the yellow jacket. I hadn't seen one. Have you guys? You seen any?
I've seen a couple. My daughter got into it and fought him the other day.
So you folks who believe the traditional thing of the cycles of nature, last year it seemed like every time I'd mow the yard, I was looking left and right, hoping not to. You know, I've had those problems before. Have you? That's no fun. But this year I haven't seen a single one. We'll see what kind of winter we have. But probably the closest I ever got to Mother Nature has enriched my life so much, and I'm appreciative every day of that, and fresh air like this and scenery like this. I was hiking in the Grassy Cove section of Cumberland County, eastern Cumberland County, wilderness area. I was probably about a mile from my vehicle, maybe a mile and a half. And I saw a bush near a trail where a deer had rubbed his antlers. Had on hiking boots and shorts, about this time of year, and shorts and a backpack and a stick. And I walk over off a little, it's just a improvised trail through the woods, and bend down like this to look at that buck rub on this tree. And next thing I know, up my shorts, into my shirt, I had 21 stings before I could even know what hit me. And it was a yellow jacket nest underground, under the leaves, under the, I don't want to do that again. And some of you probably know what I'm talking about. I'm not allergic to those kind of things, thank goodness, for me, but that's a dangerous situation, very dangerous. And I don't know how I could have avoided it, because I saw nothing to indicate danger was one step away. That's when, but I got back to the vehicle. I did get to the doctor's office, and I didn't sleep that night, but after that I was okay. But I don't want to do that again. But a lot of times, you know, your mower or weed eater will hit a little hole that goes under. They love to build on the bottom side of a rock, and sometimes they'll even build low in a bush. But this year I'm not seeing the hornet and yellow jacket nest like we did last year. So we'll see what that means, if anything.
Did the hornets abandon their nest during the winter?
They might, if it's abandoned, it was already abandoned. That's where they're going to live through the winter.
Really?
Yeah.
Because we've got a huge one.
Yeah.
Up in that chestnut oak by our house.
Yeah.
And
is it active right now?
it was
Are
last week. I am paying attention to it.
Well, that's probably where they're going to hang out. That's where they're going to try to make it through the winter.
Okay, so
Yeah.
I was thinking about harvesting that thing, but maybe not then.
Yeah, I would be careful there. You wind up like I did. It's hard to get away from them once they're angry. I have got to go meet some people here in a little bit. Let me take just a moment and thank everybody for coming. It's really, really an enjoyable day for me, and you're never infringing on my time to ask me a question, send an email, send a photo. So feel free to do that anytime. And thank you, and we hope to do it again.
Mark, can we get the May handout?
Yes, sir.